And there is my dog going ballistic. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's my dog getting yelled at right now. One of my dogs getting it. Yo, Will, what's going on, bud? I'm giving some shout outs early. People are coming on. Thanks for coming aboard, Willis. Just gonna wait for a few people to get on. Wait till that live count to get to about maybe around 5, and then we'll start getting into some subject matter. Mary Ellen, hello, cuz. What's going on, Will? Tony Cook, we're at 3. I'm hoping for a couple more people to get on before we go live here. Or before we get into the content, obviously, we're live. Stephen Walker promotes. And we're at 6, Chris Helper's on. So, what's going on, Stephen? Thank you, everyone, for coming on today. It's a great day here in Buffalo. It's kind of a Buffalo connection today, especially with the chapter that we're talking about. But for those of you that are on, this normally is a motivational moment that I have, and hopefully everyone can get a little bit of insight, a little bit of positivity for their day. But for this week, last week, this week, and next week, we're going to talk about my upcoming book, Find Your Playlist. That will be out. We're looking at a tentative date of April 1st. So the idea here is to give everyone an idea of what the book's about, why you might want to purchase it, and how it could help you out. And today's chapter is the 8th chapter in the book. And the first chapter, each chapter in the book is based on a song that really, good morning, Chris, a song that helped inspire me to make the changes necessary in my life. And every day I go through the chapters leading up to the chapter that we're talking about, because I kind of think that they all blend into one another. And the first chapter is Red Hot Chili Peppers, Under the Bridge, which the main verse, the main words in that song were take me to the place I love, and I don't ever want to feel like I did that day. And that the book is about how I went from being depressed and just not overall not happy. From the outside, I had every reason probably to be happy, but happiness, as I explain in the book, is an inside job. It has nothing to do with outside factors. And for me, I was looking for everything outside. But the idea is that, or the theme of that chapter is where I was. Josiah, I love you, my man. You're awesome. Let me tag that up. Josiah is another inspirational gentleman. He's out in Colorado. He's a great guy doing big things. Stephen and Josiah are going to Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con. So check both of them out. If you could, I share their videos frequently. But so chapter 1 was where I was. It was that point. I think everyone can relate to having a situation or a time period in their life that, thank you for the share, Josiah, a time period in their life that they'd either like to forget, they're really, and we'd like to forget it at the time. But if we look back, it's probably that thing that moved us in the right direction. Again, I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason. And as much as I did not want to go back to that point, to that day, it happened, and I believe it did happen for a reason. If you're aware, and we can't give up, and that's how I felt that day. Thank you for that comment, Josiah, because I absolutely felt, and a lot of times leaving my comfy, or my very comfortable, my very well-paying, my very good job, I many times wanted to give up, and that's what this book is really about. As you go through it, we'll get into a little bit more of that. Chapter 2 is Rhyme and Reason, Dave Matthews Band. Huge influence in my life. Their music, I think, has affected a lot of people, and they absolutely are forged under pressure. And I think that all of us that are under pressure, on the flip side of that, when we look back, we'll realize that pressure actually made us who we were. And in chapter 2, Rhyme and Reason, was, chapter 1 was I didn't want to go. I described basically the incident in pretty good detail, and I'm a pretty transparent guy, and that's what this book is. It's about being transparent, not only with everyone, but with yourself, and being all right with the mistakes that you made. You made them, learn from them. Chapter 2 is Rhyme and Reason. Dave Matthews goes into just being in a dark place and having this pain that just doesn't seem to go away. And when you are a depressed individual, or you're going or suffering through depression, you can't seem to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and everything seems dark. There's no sunshine and rainbows, and it's all doom and gloom. And that's a very dangerous spot to be in. It's a very bad place to be in, and that's where I was mentally, regardless of what it is that I had achieved, if you will, either financially or in terms of achievements in life. Because as you'll know, there are many successful people, many very wealthy people that are battle depression and that end up possibly even committing suicide or dying by suicide. And so that just goes to show you that happiness itself is an inside thing, and we have to be comfortable with who we are inside. Chapter 3 is DMX's Lord, Give Me a Sign, and that chapter was the sign that I was looking for shortly after the events that took place in chapter 1. It was a couple months, and this whole book was basically written in an 18-month time period, but the majority of it was, the playlist was developed in about a 3 to 5 month period after that day, and a couple months after the events that led to that failure that I had, that disappointment that I had, that led me back into that hole of depression, was the sign I was looking for. It was support from my family, my friends, everyone, feeding and putting positive reinforcement in the potential that I had and all the good things that I had done in life. Again, that was good, and you'll hear me say it a lot, in that when words fail, music speaks, and music spoke to me at times when all the positivity that people were giving to me just wouldn't seem to come through. I couldn't get it through my head, and that's what music did for me. But the sign that I got was a couple months after that, when anyone that's a friend of mine, a friend of ours, died by suicide, and that's when the light bulb went off. That's when it really hit me that I needed, I had the ability to have an influence on people, and I have the ability to relate to people and communicate with people. And I'm not necessarily, there's no fear to getting in front of you guys and telling you my story. I'm not ashamed of it, but that's the sign that I got, like, that this is the time. It's time to actually do something about it. That was the sign that I needed to really start taking some steps to improve my mental well-being and who I was and the thoughts going through my head. Chapter 4 was a very critical one, is a very critical one. It's Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. And the words in that song say that I'm looking at the man in the mirror. And when I listened to that song, as I describe in the book, that's when it kind of hit me. I wasn't necessarily blaming other people. I wasn't calling people out like, this is your fault. I'm this way because of you. But inside, I possibly might have been. But I wasn't fully accepting responsibility that the person that I was looking in the mirror was the sole person responsible for every decision that I've made, every failure that I've had. And that's the one thing that I think everyone, if you read the book and you take one thing away from it, or if you're listening to this and you take one thing away from it, that is it. At the end of the day, at the end of when our time comes up, we are the only people responsible for the lives that we've lived, for the impact that we've made or not made, and for the things that we do. It has nothing to do with anyone else. No outside circumstances. The only thing we have control over is ourselves. And for me, that was a tough thing to stomach. Like, that was a very hard thing to say. You're responsible. It's your fault. It's nobody else's fault. And that's what we really have to come to grips with and accept the fact that is who we are. Who we are is because of what we've done. And it's nobody else's responsibility. We are the only we're the only person responsible for the decisions we make and the actions that we take. Good morning, Victor. And so that was chapter 4. And chapter 4 leads into chapter 5, which kind of got me thinking. And then again, all these songs I was listening to while walking my dogs and just kind of reflecting on life. And in chapter 5, Dave Matthews from chapter 1, or from chapter 2, Dave Matthews Band, he's got basically chapters 5 and 6. He's a very big influence, his music on my life. And the song of it was Where Are You Going? And where are you going? So after I had, really taken and accepted responsibility, and then this song really just, the words hit me, and I started thinking to myself, and the whole reason behind this book and the whole thought process going in was these words and these songs that I've listened to over and over when I was reflecting on what I needed to reflect on in order to improve who I was. If I felt like these songs were written specifically for me and my situation, nobody else. And I know that's false, but that's just how I had felt. And this song said to me, Dave Matthews Band, the DMB, the words spoke to me and asked me, where are you going? What are you doing? What's the direction? And it really got me to thinking, am I moving in the direction of the things that I want to be doing in life? Am I moving in the direction of my goals? Where the hell am I going? And that's one thing that we need to ask ourselves frequently, and we can all relate to. Are we moving in the direction? Are we living the life on our terms? And I wasn't. I wanted to, but I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing that at all. So I think anyone can relate to that song and the words spoken in that song. Now the words, I believe, might have been written toward or for a woman, but again, they spoke to me regardless of what his meaning and the reason why he wrote that song. It spoke to me in a different way, and it spoke to me and says, where are you going? What's the direction of your life? And how can we change it? So that leads into chapter 6, which is another Dave Matthews Band song, which is Gaucho. And if you haven't or aren't familiar with Dave Matthews Band, or you just haven't heard that DMB song, it's not necessarily the title as much as it is the words and the lyrics in that song that said, and that say to you that you've got to do more than believe if you want to see the world change. And I was a person, and I was very passionate about wanting to change the world and make the world a better place, and I thought that I had to have this extreme amounts of money in order to change or have an effect on people's lives. And I would constantly tell people, I want to make a difference, I want to do this, but I wasn't willing to change myself. I wasn't able to change myself, and it wasn't until I heard that song, those words, that said to me and spoke directly to me and said, you've got to do more than just believe in yourself. And I say it in almost every video, Les Brown's words about how you have to, the hardest thing that Les Brown, who is one of the best motivational speakers in the world, really, that the hardest thing for him wasn't making the $1 million, it was having the belief in himself that he was worthy of making that money. And so I had the belief, but that song spoke to me and says, believing is just not enough. You cannot just believe, you've got to do more than that. And if I wanted to make a difference, if I wanted my life and wanted to live and take my life in the direction, after asking myself where I was going, I needed to do more than just believe that it could happen. And that's where the action comes in. We all have things that we want to do in life, but just keeping them in our heads, even writing them on paper, that's very, that's good. You want to have that belief, but belief without action is pointless because nobody else can see it. You can't have the effect that you want to have. So that's what chapter 6 was, just reiterating to me in my head, speaking to me and saying that you've got to do more than just believe you can do it. You've got to actually move in that direction. You've got to take action. The phrase from Nike is just do it. And sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to just do whatever it is that we want to do. I think it was Jim Rohn maybe that said, the thing that we fear most is the thing that we most need to do. And I feared taking that jump and that leap of faith on myself. But it was the thing that I needed to do to get where I am today. So moving forward, chapter 7, probably one of the more famous songs on my playlist, which is Eminem's Lose Yourself, and that was just an absolutely pivotal song. And I think people that haven't, or might not be hip-hop fans, might not be rap fans, his music, a lot of people can relate to, whether you like the vulgarity of it or not. The message is pretty clear, and that is that you get one shot. You get one shot to, you got one shot in life to make it happen. There's no guarantee of tomorrow. There's no guarantee, as I said in yesterday's video, I had experienced a significant amount of loss throughout my life. I'm blessed to have my immediate family, though, and a great support system, great family, but that loss has reiterated the fact the fact that we live a very brief life, and we don't know when our time's going to be called, and that you do get one shot. You get one opportunity, and you've got to be prepared when that opportunity comes, and that's what Eminem's Lose Yourself basically said to me. A lot of times we need to lose ourselves in order to find ourselves. And I was on the verge of losing my mind. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and that's what I was doing. Literally almost driving myself insane. And, you know, a friend of mine posted yesterday when we were talking about the song that a very famous quote or motivational quote, if you will, is that we miss 100% of the shots we don't take. And that's the one thing that I didn't want to look back. I might look back on life and say, man, I regret doing this or that, or not so much that I regret, but I would do things differently. If you don't try something, you can't look back and say, man, I would have done that differently, because you never did it. And that's what this song, Eminem's Lose Yourself, very powerful song, and the lyrics are very powerful in that you get one shot, one opportunity. If you don't take it, you'll never know. Being in a coaching platform, in the coaching field, and experiencing personal growth and development, one of the main common themes that you'll get from a lot of them is when they speak to folks that are elderly and seniors that have gone through life, or maybe are on their last days of life, is that they often don't regret things they did, they regret the things that they did not do. So if you don't take that shot, if you don't seize the opportunity before you, if you don't create the opportunities that might not be there, you'll never know what life could have been. And for me, that was the source of a lot of my frustration and depression and anxiety, was that while I was making a very good living, I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do in life, and it was wreaking havoc inside of my own, inside of my body. The stress of it, the anxiety of it, the frustration and the disappointment of not doing what I wanted to do was really a main source of that depression, not to mention all the failures and mishaps that I did personally, I created. So that was chapter 7. That leads us in today's chapter, which is chapter 8, and being born and raised in Buffalo. Very proud that this one made the list. This is a song that my Uncle Mark, who passed away in 2008, was very good friends with Robbie Takak of the Goo Goo Dolls. And the Goo Goo Dolls song Better Days was a song that we made on the video for my uncle's funeral. And this song had just come up, in my playlist, while it was just a library of songs. I was just really shuffling through music, and this song came on, and it spoke to me to remind me that no matter how hard times can be, no matter how dark days can seem, that, thank you, Chris, thank you very much, no matter how hard things can seem to be, it led me to realize and focus that there were better days ahead. The chorus of that is, I wish everyone was loved tonight, and somehow we could stop this endless fight, which just seems so fitting in our country today and in our world today. And it ends with just a chance that maybe we can find better days. And that's what it spoke to me, and that I needed to believe that there were better days ahead. So anyone that's going through a tough time can relate to this song and relate to those words. And you need to constantly hear them, I think, to remind ourselves that better days are ahead, no matter how hard the time is right now. If you really, truly believe that better days are ahead, and remind yourself of that daily, because we are what we think about. And if we constantly think negative, then only expect negative. Don't expect positivity to come out of negative thoughts. And you need to be positive no matter how hard times can seem to be. And that is what Goo Goo Dolls' Better Days really said to me. And that no matter how much I was going through and how difficult things seemed to be and how much there did not seem to be any light or sunshine or rainbows, that there was better days ahead of me. I need to keep telling myself that and reminding myself that no matter what, if I continue to work toward a goal, find my direction, figure out where I'm going, believe in myself and my ability, that, thank you, Stephen, better than my coffee too. If we continue to think that, eventually, and believe in that, and realize that we've got this opportunity and that better days are ahead. And if you continually to do this, and I hope after reading this book and in the last chapter as we get into it, you will go through this process that I think I've come up with in Find Your Playlist, and that it takes me from that period and it goes right on through. And I think that's something that we could possibly do to help get in a process that we can follow to help get us through whatever tough time that may be. I am not a counselor by any means. I'm not licensed, my girlfriend is, and we'll see where that goes. But it's just, I think music is something everyone can relate to, and we all have songs that mean something to us. We have a song that maybe a loved one that has passed reminds us of when my grandmother passed this January 1st. She was one of 6 people that passed away in 6 funerals that I went to in 7 months. And then her song is Mama, and one of them, and one song that will always remind me of her is Amazing Grace. It was her favorite song. That and Ave Maria. But so everyone has that song that they can relate to that reminds them of something, a song that can maybe bring them out of a bad mood. And that's what this song, and that's what this book really is about. It's about finding that playlist, your playlist, finding your purpose on life, reminding yourself that no matter what, especially in chapter 8, that better days lie ahead. And that was the message that I got from the Goo Goo Dolls in that song. That is, and again, I think all of us can listen to songs that we love, and when we actually stop and listen to the words, especially if we're going through a tough time, that no matter what, I mean, music can impact us. Music can really make that difference for us, and you can relate to that song, whatever it is for you. These are the songs that work for me, and that's why you need to find your playlist. You need to find your person, or your purpose. Find your person. That was stupid. But you need to find your purpose and your reason on why you're here. And that, I think, I know that is the reason why I wrote this, so that no matter what it is somebody's going through, maybe they can go back to this book and remind them of whatever it is. Because as I say many times in this book, and there's been much research done on music and how it relates to our lives and how it actually affects our brain and our mind. And that is the reason why this book really came to fruition and is going to be on bookshelves or on Amazon, hopefully I think April 1st. But that was my purpose. I found my quote-unquote playlist. I found my reason, I believe, on why the hell I was put on this planet. And I think all of us, we all have an ability to do something. We all have an opportunity to make a difference in someone else's life through whatever it is you're great at. And nobody's great at the same thing. Everyone has different gifts that they were given, and my gift, I think, is with people and understanding people, because I have a passion for people. I have a genuine interest in people, but more importantly, I want to impact them and inspire people to do whatever it is that you want to do. And for me, it took me a while, and it's taken me a while, and it's still a work in progress to find out who we are. But I can promise you that at the end of it, the journey's worth it. So we're all on this journey of life, and we all want the end, but the really, our life is the journey. That's the part that we need to embrace. And so many of us focus on the finish line, and rather than embracing what we do every day. I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel at all some days. And this whole process, this book, these chapters, these songs, this music is what really, again, friends, family, that positive support was great. Music, for me, if people know me, you know that I love music, you know that I always have had a genuine love for music. And this chapter, Better Days, was it. It really reminded me that no matter how dark some days seem to be, that better days did come. That better days did come after the dark. We've got to weather those storms sometimes, and sometimes it seems like the storm might never pass, but guess what? They do. They do. But we've got to be able to, and are people strong enough? Are we strong enough up here to get through those days, through those tough times? And that is what I hope you take away from today, that no matter what, if you're going through something troubling, better days are going to be ahead for you. And you really have to believe that. You have to believe that better days are ahead. So, guys, I've gone on long enough today. I hope I was of some positive influence in your day. And I hope that everyone can share this out, anyone that might have watched or is watching, because that's how it's going to impact people. Maybe it's not necessarily you. You might be living your dream. You might be living the life. You might know what your purpose is. But there might be that one person that this message gets through to. There might be that one person that needs to hear this, and that hears it and says, you know what, I can relate to that. I've been through that too. So that's why I ask you to share. The more people that we can impact, the more people that can get the message, and that might have, a different outlook after either hearing the videos, or eventually reading that book. That's the ultimate goal here. So, guys, I hope everyone has a great Wednesday, and I look forward to tomorrow with chapter 9 and 10, and then we'll get into the following week, the last chapters of the book. I'm actually editing right now, and not possibly, but I'm going to throw in another short chapter that really was a song that just kind of, these songs tend to slap me in the face, and this one did, so I absolutely have to, because this song, it's a very few words, but the words are just, they completely make sense, and are really, the thing that held me back for so long. And a lot, as we get into that chapter, it's the one thing that might be holding a lot of us back, or a lot of you back. So, guys, chapter 8, Better Days, Goo Goo Dolls. I encourage everyone to, if you don't have these songs on your Spotify, your Pandora, put them on there, listen to them, and maybe you'll be able to relate to it before the book even comes out. So, guys, have a great Wednesday, and I will see you on Thursday. I'm out.